Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where I hope you enjoyed that short clip of the absolutely fantastic movie Back to the Future in the introduction there, and it showed exactly what is going on in this puzzle, which is called Careful with That Hook, Emmett, by I think it's Christounet, actually, because I think Christounet is a French constructor. And the only reason I think that is I think we had a lovely email from Christounet just the other day where I may be wrong, but I don't think Christounet actually recommended this puzzle to us, but it's been recommended by other people. Apparently it is absolutely brilliant. And I have to say, having looked at the setup, I am absolutely delighted this exists because it features this quintessential moment in the movie. Let me try and explain what's going on. You've got the DeLorean at the bottom going at 88 miles an hour, which was the speed required, so that the big hook on the back of the DeLorean would hit the wire that you can see going across here. It was all took place, by the way, and this was in 1955 in the movie, and at exactly 10:04 p.m. and you can see 10:04 on the clock face here, the lightning struck the sort of the top of the tower. It went down the wires, caught onto the DeLorean going at 88 miles an hour and transported Marty McFly back to the future. So absolutely incredible that so much of this seems to have been captured in the puzzle. Now, the only downside of all this, from my perspective, is that you can see there are some zeros highlighted in the grid here. This puzzle does feature the terrifying Schrodinger cell. Now, this is a cell that has to be filled with two different digits, so it completely breaks all the logic in the world. So basically, each box in this puzzle has to be filled with the digits 0 to 9 without repeats, and the way that's achieved is that one of the cells in each box, in each column, in each row, has to contain two numbers. Anyway, this is where madness is going to lie. But the other thing I wondered about with the title of this puzzle, which sort of doesn't, it only vaguely references Back to the Future with Careful with That Hook, Emmett. It might be a reference to Pink Floyd. And what's it? Careful with That Axe, Eugene. I might be wrong about that, but that's if so, Christounet deserves even more applause for referencing the Floyd, of course. Anyway, what else do I have to tell you about today? I want to say a very happy birthday to Zephyr over in 16, turns 16 today over there in Canada. Your mum Lyra wrote to us. And Zephyr, I hope I'm getting your name right. It could be Zephyr, but I think, well, it looks like it's spelt the same way as the wind to me, so I'm going to say Zephyr, which is how I would say it. And I hope I've got that right, and I hope you have a brilliant birthday, of course, with lots of cake, chocolate cake. And then the only other thing I've got to tell you about before we kick off and try the puzzle today is Alice's Adventures in Sudoku Land. We are getting deluged with entries for this. You've still got 2 days to get your answers in if you would like a shout out on the channel. I'm going to be shouting out these names for a while because so many of you are basically so clever. And the clever people we're shouting out today are Toshi Kato, Len Sorensen, Megan Swanson, Nathan Cox, William Poltzin, Fool on Hill, Michelle Koopmanch, George Dubert, Olivier Young, Ned Bartlett, Andre Beausoleil, John Rice, Bob Gendron, or could be Gendron, Triple Three Ears, always makes me laugh, that one, Michael Nazarchuk, Bill Alsop, Zdenek Pavlatka, I think, and Jim Davis. Very well done, one and all. Fantastic work. And you must try, by the way, this hunt. It's available on Patreon right now, 12 puzzles to solve. And if you solve any 3 of them, you'll be in with a chance of winning the competition. The other thing, actually, that some of you I know have been enjoying, it will not be for everybody, is this 3-hour video that we published on Patreon the other day where I take on the listener crossword and I show you how to solve a listener crossword, which is basically the hardest crossword out there, by throwing computer aids at it. It still takes a long time, but it's a fantastic puzzle, and that's really, really, it is I think quite an interesting video if you like cryptic crosswords, but anyway, that's there as well. Now, careful with that Hook Eugene by Christounet. These are the strange rules. There are a lot of rules, but they seem fairly normal apart from the Schrodinger cells. So, Christounet says, normal-ish Sudoku rules apply. Every row, column and box contains the digits 0 to 9 once each. To enable this, one cell in each row, column and box is a Schrödinger cell, an S cell, colon, it contains 2 digits. So I've explained that already. Now, diagonal. The negative diagonal marked in blue must contain the digits 0 to 9 once each. So this diagonal has the digits 0 to 9 on it. Digits on a Renban bracket purple line, we've got 2 of those, form a set of non-repeating consecutive digits in any order. Now the thing that's worrying me about that rule immediately is what would happen if that was a Schrödinger cell. You could have something like that, 1, 2, 3, 4, along a 3-cell Renban line. So the Renban lines, I think, are going to be complicated. Arrows. Digits along an arrow sum to the digit in that arrow circle. But when I read the rules through earlier, there's a qualification there, so we'll come back to that in a minute. Double arrow. The sum of the digits in the 2 orange circles, those 2 I think, is equal to the sum of the digits along the orange line. Right. And goodness only knows how this is affected by Schrödingerness, but those 2 digits add up to the same as those 2 digits. And when I say 2 digits, I may not mean 2 digits, I may mean 3 digits. Or possibly more. I don't know. I haven't worked that out. Region sum line. Digits on the blue line have I've got 2 blue lines. Digits on the blue line have an equal sum n within each box it passes through. Note that the blue line is partially hidden by the circle in row 8, column 6. I see. So what this is saying is that those 5 digits there, let's highlight those in my favourite colour, fluorescent green, those 5 digits add up to the same as those 5 digits. Now, of course, hang on, I shouldn't make those the same colour. Let's make those yellow. Of course, this could all be interfered with by Schrodinger cells, although I've just noticed something very peculiar about box 8 that makes me think that might not be true. Cages. Digits in cages sum to the indicated or the total indicated in the top left corner of the cage. So this cell sums to 8 and this cell sums to 8. Quads. The digits contained in the small white circles, okay, that's these, must appear at least once in the 4 surrounding cells. Right. Okay, so there must be at least 1 1 and at least 1 9 in those 4 cells, etc. Thermometer. Digits on a thermometer must increase from the bulb end. So we've only got 1 thermometer. So we've got to make sure the digits rise just as mercury rises as we go up a real thermometer. Now, I can tell you this. The real thermometers in my part of the world at the moment are not rising very much. We had snow this morning and it is freezing. Now, here is the kicker. If a Schrödinger cell is on an arrow, double arrow, cage or region sum line, its value is the sum of the 2 digits in it. So if this square was sort of an 8 and a 9 Schrödinger cell, then those 5 cells would add up to the total of those 6 numbers, so that you could make this very big by doing something like that, is what I'm perceiving about the rules. It is a long rule set, but I think this is a 100% rated puzzle on Logic Masters Germany, and frankly the whole conceit of the thing is so wonderful that I'm looking forward to trying it, and I think you guys will be too. So do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. And now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Let's see if we can get our DeLorean up to 88 miles an hour. And right, okay, my eyes are drawn to this clue here, because that must mean, in order for there to be 2 5s in that 2x2, we must have a 5 in that box, and we must have a 5 in that box, because otherwise we'd have far too many 5s in the world. So that's stopping 5s going onto the thermometer. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, we've got 9 cells on this thermometer, which ordinarily would be a very, very nice place to start, because we could put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 on the thermo. But here, presumably we could have a 0 there, and then that might only be an 8. So I think what we have to do here, Mark would do this very fast, but I'm going to do it more slowly. I think each of these cells has 2 options, basically. Because we could start with a 0 in the bulb, which rather disturbs. Oh, hang on. And is this affected by... What happens if we put a Schrödinger cell on the thermo? Did it tell us how that was dealt with? If a Schrödinger cell is on an arrow, double arrow, cage, or... No, it doesn't tell us. I wonder if I'm allowed to assume then that there are no Schrödinger cells along the thermometer. I don't know the answer to that. I better not assume it. I better cater for the possibility there is a Schrödinger cell along this thermometer. I've got a 1 and 9 quadruple clue there, so you can see that the 1 and the 9 are going to have to be in at least 2 of these 3 cells. I guess we could have something like double 1 9, so we could have them in all sorts. Oh, hang on. I suppose I could just have a 1 9 in one of them as a Schrödinger cell. Oh, this is very all right. I'm going to change that. I'm going to go down to these 8s, because it is not possible to write 8 into both of these cells. So one of them must be a Schrödinger cell. Right, okay, so that means what we're going to do is we are going to use our patented green and red highlighting. So those cells and those cells must not be Schrödinger cells. So that is not a Schrödinger cell. One of these is a Schrödinger cell, because only one of them can be a Schrödinger cell. So, okay. Right. So I want to say that there is an 8 in one of these cells, but I don't know the nature of the 8. This might be wrong, so I'm just sort of thinking this through in my brain. But it feels to me like either... Let's imagine this was the Schrödinger cell. It could be an 8 0. Oh no, but then that... No, hang on, that's not right, is it? Because if that was 8 0, this would not be a Schrödinger cell, and that would just have to contain an 8. So if that's a Schrödinger cell, it can't be 8 0, it would have to be 1 7 2 6 or 3 5. And then this would have to not be a Schrödinger cell and have to be an 8 on its own. So there is a single 8 in one of these 2 cells. And the other cell is a Schrödinger cell that contains 1 7 2 6 or 3 5. I don't know how to use that, I'm afraid. I think it's true. Oh, so if I knew that was an 8, I would know that that was an 8, and I would know that was a Schrödinger cell. Right, okay. That cell... Oh, that's very clever. It's really... It's really transparent. It's because it's underneath the clock face or something. I don't know how people perform this magic with our software, but they do. Right, that square, I don't know whether it's a Schrödinger cell or not, but it must it contains a 0. Because look, in that 2x2 there's a 0, and in that 2x2 there's a 0. So the only cell that meets both of those criteria is this one. So this, I don't know whether it's a Schrödinger cell, but it definitely has a 0 in it. So that cell doesn't have a 0 in it, so that's got to be a 1 because it's normal, and now the thermometer is fixed because we can't afford any Schrödinger cells on it because we've got to keep this digit down to no bigger than 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, that's going to be huge, isn't it? So that must be... So now, where does the 1 go in this little 2 by 2? And the answer is in one of those 2 cells. So there's a 1 in one of those 3 cells. Now, 4. That could be a 0, 4. I don't think I can... No, okay. I don't think I can do anything with the 0, 4 clue. I might be wrong about that, but I feel like that's tricky. Oh, right. I've got something. What I like about this so far as well is it's smooth. You can actually do it. Some Schrodinger cell puzzles are just monstrous, but look, that diagonal needs to have 1 of every digit on it. So where do I put 8 and 7 on it? Well, they've got to both go there. So that is a Schrodinger cell. And it's an 8-7 Schrodinger cell, and that means all these cells are green, these cells are green, those cells are green. And this diagonal now is going to be filled up with, well, that's a naked single. That sees 9 and 6. That's a naked single 0. It sees all the Sudoku digits because it sees 7 and 8 in that cell. That's ridiculous. So that's a 0. And these 2 squares have got to be a 6-9 pair, I think. So that's a 6-9 pair. The rest of this box, well, yeah, that's right, isn't it? The other thing I'm just suddenly realising is that I can obviously green all those digits because none of those can be a Schrodinger cell, or we'd have more than 10 digits on the diagonal. Right, what's going on? Okay, I see. Right, so these arrows now, but this arrow and this arrow, I think, have to have Schrodinger cells going on. Because if both of those cells were green, they'd have to be the same number, because we'd be saying that 0 plus that number is equal to that number. So one of those must be Schrodinger, so we get another load of green there. One of these must be Schrodinger, so we get another load of green there. Which is rather beautiful. That and that, are they green? Yeah, they're thermometer digits, they're green. So we've almost got something. 5 is in one of those, so 5 is in one of these 3 cells by Sudoku. And okay. I don't know what to do now. 1 second, let me think about this. Is this in some way obvious what I'm meant to be looking at? I don't know. I have a feeling I can do better. How could we... Is it more... I think it's more likely these 2 are going to be the Schrodinger cells, isn't it? But it is possible this would be a Schrodinger cell. If that was sort of... Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, it couldn't be that. It couldn't be what I was about to say. Let's try it. Imagine that was 2-7, actually. If that was 2-7, which I think it can be, that would add up to 9, and that would be a 9. And that would work with the quadruple clue. So that could be something like 2-7. It doesn't have to be as high as 2-7, but it actually could be in this instance. I've got this in the orange clues. Which is a lot, isn't it? So oh, I see. No, this is just forced. Oh, goodness. Right. I think I have done a double arrow clue puzzle before, but it's not for a long time, and I'm not used to them, and I'm definitely not used to them with Schrodinger cells affecting them. But what we have to imagine is that I know it says 7 and 8 there, but it's a pencil mark and it looks weird. But actually we have to imagine that there is a big 7 and a big 8 in this cell. So what's the maximum that those two cells could add up to? Well, that's 6 and 9. But there's no way they can add up to less than that, because if they add up to less than that, I've got no more numbers to add in to sum to these two digits. So this must be a 6-9 pair, and that must be a 0, I think. There's no possibility that any of those are Schrödinger cells. So I think that's forced. Sorry, and I know I'm corpsing there. That's because I'm just trying to understand what that means. So is it doing something to the Ren band now? So this, yes, okay. So this Ren band line has to contain consecutive digits. Oh, and in fact, it doesn't contain Schrödinger cells now, so at least that makes it slightly simpler. But this is a 6, 7, 8, 9 quadruple. I know it's only in 3 cells, but that's what it is. These digits, oh, that could be, no, so I suddenly thought about the possibility of having 0 on this line, but actually that is ruled out by a combination of Sudoku-age. So this section of digits has to be selected from 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we're taking a slice of 3 of those digits in a row. So there's always a 3 on here. I think that's probably the world's most useless deduction. Well done, Simon. Upsy. Oh, here we go. Here's a little point. Right. We've got a Schrödinger cell in those two and a Schrödinger cell in those two. So, okay. So where's the Schrödinger cell in column 6? You can see it's got to be in one of those. And that means we can ask where the Schrödinger cell goes in row 6, and it's got to be in one of these. So that's going to give us another load of greenage. I'm not actually seeing immediately whether it does more than that. Ooh. Well, okay, I don't know whether I'm allowed to do this or not. It is true to say that by Sudoku, there is an 8 in one of those two squares, where I know there is also a 5. But do we? I don't think I can sort of write a 5-8 pencil mark in here, like a central pencil mark, because it's still possible that there's a Schrödinger cell here. And that would mean those two cells could contain 3 digits. So I don't think it's legitimate to do that. I'm not although the Schrödinger cell in column 3 is only in one of 2 places. The box 1 needs to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in it. Zero. I can place a 0 in box 9 because that is a 0. Remember, that's a 0. I know it doesn't look like a 0, but it is. We just don't know whether it's Schrödinger or not. So 0 goes in the corner there. I haven't been looking out for 3s in corners, but we don't yet have one of those. It's very hard to look at this as in the way I want to. Now look, if I could get a 0 on this Ren band, that would be powerful. I can see there's a 0 in one of those 3 cells. There's nothing about having different Schrödinger cells, is there? So the fact this is 7, 8 doesn't mean I can't. Oh no, hang on. It's the 8 here is a natural 8 anyway. So What is this now? Yes, okay, let's come back to this. What do we pair up? The natural 8 that lives in one of these digits with the Schrödinger 8. The Schrödinger 8 can't be 1, 7. And I don't think it can be 3, 5 now, because that would suggest that's a Schrödinger cell. If I put 3 and 5 as a pair there, in this box, that digit has to be Schrödinger, and it can't because that's already Schrödinger. And we'd have a surplus of Schrödingers, which is a concept so ludicrous it shouldn't exist. And please, please, none of you constructors out there, don't even go there. Do not even allow your brains to meditate on, ruminate upon that for a moment, because that is not friendly. So this is a 2, 6, I think, and an 8. So no, so that doesn't tell me anything about this box over here. It does tell me there's a 2 down here, which could look, that's quite tempting, isn't it, to put it there. So that would be 2, 3, and a 1 or a 4. Well, but the 1 or the 4 could be there. 6 has to be... Oh, I've got a very strange pencil mark I have to do here. Those squares are 5, 6, and 8. And they literally are, so one of those is Schrödinger. Because we put 5 and 8 into these cells, and I've just, I think, proved that 6 is in there as well. So one of these, in order to fit 3 digits into 2 cells, one of these is Schrödinger. So this is Schrödinger now in column 3. Those are not Schrödinger. That digit sees that cell by the power of Sudoku. Ludicrous to be made to do Sudoku at the start of a puzzle like this. So this is Schrödinger now in box 2. So that is not Schrödinger. So this is Schrödinger. And therefore that one is a 2, 6 pair simultaneously. And this is a natural 8 by the power of what we did earlier. And that means one of these is Schrödinger. Hang on. What does that mean? I haven't got a clue. I don't know. Right, those squares are 3, 4, and 5, I want to say. Now, do I know anything about the 4 up there? Don't think so. Oh, okay. And this arrow now, this is a Schrödinger cell. That's the natural way round, isn't it? So basically what we're saying is you add up those 2 digits and you put the answer in there. And what's the minimum? This could be a 1, 2 pair adding up to 3. That would put a 1 here and a 1 here. Oh, that could be a 1, couldn't it, with the 1, 9 quadruple clue. Sorry, I'm not immediately understanding what this means. 7 is in one of those cells in box thingy thing here. 0 is in one of those 2 cells by Sudoku. Yeah, I think I've got to be more careful about Sudoku in this puzzle. I know I tend to be a bit slapdash with it normally, but I think there's clearly stuff going on that I'm missing. Yeah, okay. 9 now has to be in one of 2 places only. So 9 is in one of those 3 cells, I think. Which feels like it might matter. What about 7 is in one of those cells by Sudoku. 7 is not there by Sudoku because of this 7. This is 5, 6, and 8. Oh, so that's not 5. Right, so 5 is... So 5, yeah, see, there's all sorts of weirdities going on. There's a 5 in one of those two. Okay. And for our next trick, we will argue about... I don't know. Is this obvious what I meant to do at this juncture? 8? Is that somehow restricted? The clock, all the clock is telling me is the quadruple clues, isn't it? So I've got a 0. No, I've got a 0 exactly here, but I don't know whether this is... Oh, I do know it's not Schrödinger now. Yes, look, I've not used this logic. So those all get greened. One of those is Schrödinger. That, therefore, as it's a 0, is a natural 0, which means that's a natural 0, surely. That I can't put 0. No, I can't put 0 in this, because then they would both have to be 0 to make the maths work. So that's a 0. There's a 0 in one of those two cells now by Sudoku. So this is natural. 4 is in one of those. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a length 5 Renban. But normally on length 5 Renban, we'd say, okay, well, it must have a 5 on it. But in this puzzle, it could have a 0 on it. And that would make it a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 Renban. Although, no, it could be still. That can still be a 0. I don't believe it. Ah. Okay, well, that's not helpful, is it? Okay, I don't know what to do with that. Let's instead... Could we... Oh. Here's something. There's a 9. There's no 9 there. Because that's a 6-9 pair. So there's a 9 in one of those two cells. That's the simplest way of seeing what I'd just seen, which was to ask where 9 went in this column. Oh, hang on, I can't put it anywhere. Have I broken the puzzle? I've got... Oh no, I haven't broken it. I just couldn't see it. That's really hard for me to see. That 9 there... I saw these two 9s against the green background. I thought that couldn't be a 9 because I thought they were the only two 9s in this box. But actually there is a little 9 in there if we highlight it. And that's a relief because that must be where the 9 goes in this column. Because it's the only place it can go into. So those therefore lose their 9-age. What did I get rid of when I... So does that mean that's a 7? We need to check that. Because... By Sudoku it does actually. Yeah, that's just a Sudoku digit. That becomes a 7. 7 goes into one of those two cells. Is it actually possible to put 9 there? Oh, it is, isn't it? Hang on, let me think about this. If that's 9, it can't be Schrödinger, can it? If that's 9, because if that was 9 and it was Schrödinger, that would be a normal digit that would have to add up to at least 9, and that would either duplicate the 9 in the box or make this have to be a 10 or something, and that won't work. So if this is 9, it is un-Schrödingered, and that digit is a Schrödinger double cell that adds to 9. That would be 1, 8. That's absolutely beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. That is not a 9, I think. That's going to give us some stuff up here. Because let me show you. If this is 9, it cannot be Schrödinger, which means this is the Schrödinger cell in this box and sums to 9 by maths. Now, So that means we're either putting 3, 6 in here, well, we're not doing that. 4, 5 in there, we're not doing that. 2, 7, we're not doing that. Which means this is 1, 8. But if this is 1, 8, there is a 1 looking at that domino, and I can't put 1 around that quadruple clue, and that won't work. So that is not 9, which means that this is 9 in my 1, 9 pair, which means that this is 9, this is 6. So that's not a 6. I don't think that helps me, does it? Is this not doing anything? 6 is now one of those. Oh, right. Well, yes, I know one of those is a 6 already. I just don't know which is the Schrodinger cell. Ah! Okay, that being a 9 is me. All right, that does limit 9 somewhat in box 5. It's one of 2 places, one of which could be a Schrodinger. Okay. That's a Schrodinger. In fact, that's right. Okay, there's a 5 in that cell, but it's a Schrodinger, so we don't know what it goes with. And the reason there's a 5 in is that there must be a 5 there and there must be a 5 there. So there are no 5s in those 6 cells, and there's no 5 on top of an 8 or a 0. So that is 5 plus another digit that is either 1, 2, 3, or 4, isn't it? It's still got all the options in the world. Oh, right. So I now know that there is a 1. Oh, there could be 2 1s in those squares, but there's at least 1 1 in those 2 squares. I'm running out of ideas here. I'm running out. Oh, 9 up here. Is that going to be good? Come on. I keep thinking that there's more Sudoku to do. What about that is a 2 and a 6. So 6 is in one of 3 places in box 2. 6 on the Renban would lock 0 off the Renban, I think, because it's only 5 cells. So that would, no, it wouldn't place 0 in box 6. It would knock it off here. But if that's a 6, that's a Schrodinger cell. So that could be 6 and 1 adding up to 7, or 6 and 2 adding up to 8. Which, I don't know whether we can get a handle on which of those is likely. I've not thought about this huge blue line down here either. Do we know anything about that? Well, I do know. Oh, I do actually. Oh, good grief. Right, sorry. Okay, I have not thought of this, but you'll have to forgive me. I know what those 2 cells actually add. I know what those 3 digits in those 2 cells sum to, because I know that those are the digits 5, 6 and 8. Now 5, 6, 7 and 8 I want to say add to 26. Now, so I almost know the sum of those digits because of the secret. Now the secret is something I only tell my favourite people, but if you're watching this video still, if you're coming back to the future with me, I will certainly tell you the secret. The secret is that even in this puzzle with its Schrodinger cells, the digits 0 to 9 still sum to 45. So that box sums to 45. But those cells sum to 26. So whatever that digit is, we'll label it. It's a normal digit, isn't it? Let's label it A. Whatever that digit is, these cells add up to 45 minus 26 minus A. And these cells, oh, this is worse actually. Well, yeah, I've got, sorry, I hadn't appreciated this. I've got two unknowns in this box. I do know what those add up to. Those add up to 16. Yeah, okay. So if those add up to 16, but those add up to 26, then what we could say is that this digit, well, we can say those two digits must add up to 10 more than that digit, whatever that digit is, in order to equate the equal sum lines in both boxes. So what can that digit be? Nothing high. I can see that straight away. Is that true that there's a 2 down here? Oh, well, okay, it can't be 2. Right, so it is, it's not 0, and it's not 2, and it's not 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9, so it's 1, 3 or 4. Let's put that in, 1, 3 or 4, which means those two digits add up to 11, 13 or 14. And they don't add up to 14. Ah, that's not 4. Because if that was 4, these would have to add up to 14. But that square can't be 5 or 9, and neither of those squares can be 8 by Sudoku. So you can't make a pair of digits add up to 14 without them being 5, 9 and 6, 8 if they have to be different digits. Neither of them are Schrödinger, so we don't have to worry about that. That's not 4. Right, so if this is 3, these add up to 13 without using 8. Or 6, actually. So these would be a 4, 9 pair. That would be a 9. This would be a 4. Now, that might work with the 3 on the line. Let's just have a quick look at this, because it... Oh, no, that's... I don't know that, do I? Oh... The problem is with this pencil marking, I'm very unsure. I could easily be missing a reason this doesn't work. Don't know. Well, it would have to be that. So if that's 3, that's got to be 4, that's got to be 9. If this is 1, these have to add up to 11 without being 3, 8, or 2, 9, or 5, 6. So they've got to be 4, 7. Right, and that can't be 7 because of the Schrodinger cell. So that's always 4. This is always a 4. This squell is a this squell. Yes, it could be. No, it's not a squell. A squell must be a Schrodinger cell, shouldn't it? So it's that's not a squell. That's just a normal cell. But this is a 4. Ah, ooh. Okay, 4 lives up there somewhere. Does that mean that's a 4? That would be quite an exciting deduction. That would give me a 4. Actually, that might be quite an exciting deduction. This 4 in this box, that can't be a 4. So I think that is a 4. Which means that 4 is in one of those two cells, which means that 4... is in one of those 3 cells, which means, but also 4, 4, that's a 4 by Sudoku, so these are not 4, so they're 3 and 5. Oh, I see, we've sort of done that row by hook or by crook. That's a 4, so that's not a 4. Right, and this needs a 4 around it, which now can't be there. So there's a 4 in one of those two cells, which means that's not a 4, which means that is a 4. And that is... Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. That is beautiful, because look, that is on the Renban. So those can't be 4, or we'd have a repeated digit on the purple line, which seems to suggest that that's a 4. which seems to suggest there's a 4 in one of these two cells, which means that that's not a 4. This is now the 4. These 4s are sort of chasing around the grid. I've got 7 4s in the grid. I see I've got like an X-wing of 4s left. That was absolutely lovely. Now, and when I placed this 4, I knocked a 0 down here. I saw that. Yes, here's a small deduction. Is it possible that that cell has a 0 in it, either as a Schrodinger cell or not? The answer must be no. Because if it's 0, what we'd be doing then is we'd be saying 0 plus some other number equals that number, which would require these to equate. There would be 2 digits the same by maths. So that cannot be a 0. So the 0 in... that surely can't be 0, it's summing up. So the 0 in this box is in one of 3 places. And that means, you know, that the 0 in this row can only be exactly there, which is another nice thought. So now... okay, so now I've got sort of that pattern left for zeros, for the last 3 zeros, which is possibly not going to be... oh, I was about to get excited and think there was a 6 on this, but I've realised there's a 6 there as well, so I can't do that. Okay. So what on earth do we do now? What on earth do we do now? Have we got... a clue? Have I got a clue? That might be a good question. How do we do this? I know that whatever this, if this is 1, that's 7. If this is 3, that's 9. I know that there's a 4 on here now. So it looks like that wants to be sort of 3, 4, 5, but it, no, maybe not. That could be 2 with 3 and 4. So I don't think I know what this is. 3. I can pencil mark these digits though, can't I? If it's got 4 on it and it must have 3 on it, that digit could be the 3. It could be a 2 or it could be a 5. And that digit I think is the same. It's 2, 3 or 5. That one isn't able to be 2 because there's a 2 here. That one isn't able to be 5 because there's a 5 here. So these have really come down. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. Right. Oh, sorry, look, that's a 7 just by Sudoku. I hadn't seen that. I hope that's not going to have rendered all of this beautiful stuff we found totally irrelevant. Actually, it doesn't seem to do anything, does it? So I'm not so worried about that. Right, so that square, which is the Schrodinger cell, is having 1 of 1, 2 and 3 as its friend. But I don't think any of those are knocked out by what's going on in this box. What on earth are we meant to do here? This is very, very strange. Oh no. Maybe I won't finish the puzzle until 4 minutes past 10. That would make it a very long video. What is it that I'm meant to look at? What have I not looked at yet? I've not sort of looked at this Renban. I've not thought about the options for these cells either. Maybe is that going to be fruitful? Well, the problem with this one is I don't know which the Schrodinger cell is. At least with this one I sort of know that. But I don't think that... that's got to be at least a 3, hasn't it? Because we could put 1 and 2 in there still. So that's at least a 3. And it's not 4. And it's not 5 or 6, because remember that 5 is real. It just is small at the moment, but it's still real. So it's not 5 or 6. Can it be 7? Maybe. I can't see immediately why it can't be 7. I can't see him. I can see it can't be 9. I'm not actually seeing why it can't be 8 either. I'm just going to put 8 in for a second. Let's just think about that. So, why can't this be 7, 8, or 3? I don't know. If it is 3, that would be a 1, 2. That would put 6 on the line. That would be quite interesting. 3 and 6 would be on the line. I'd have to put 5 on the line somewhere. Could that be 5? Maybe. I think that's probably my favourite at the moment. This is a 1, 2. That's a 3. And then the line seems to be quite naturally fillable. What about if that's a 7? Then I've got to put 5 and 6 on the line, because I'd have a 7 and a 4 on the line. It just doesn't feel difficult. It feels much, much more interesting, actually. If you make that an 8. Because if you make that an 8, you've got to put 7 on the line. And where are you going to put that? The answer is exactly there, so you'd have to put it there. But is that actually also seems to work? Okay. Whoops. Okay. Sorry. All right. So what's the right way to think about this? I don't have a clue. If maybe I can eliminate some of the options by thinking about this square. If that's 3, we know that's 1, 2. If that's 7, it can't be 3, 4. I think it could be 1, 6 though. Maybe I've got to put the options in. So if this is 7, this could, I think, be 1, 6. Can it be 2, 5? No, that definitely doesn't work. And it can't be 3, 4. Wow. So actually, if that's 3 or 7, that has a 1 in it for sure. That's quite interesting. But what about if this is 8? And this is going to be the problem one, I think, because I think there's lots of options that can work. If this is 8, well, this square is all that square would be a 2, 6 pair, I want to say. If this is 8. Now, how have I reached that conclusion? You may well ask. It's complicated. If this is 8, you can see that this can't be 3, 5 because that cell rules that out. So it's either a 1, 7 pair or it's a 2, 6 pair. But if it was a 1, 7 pair, then I can't put 7 on this Renban, because this 7's taking care of those two, and the 1, 7 pair's taking care of that one. But there would be an 8 on the Renban, so that doesn't work. So if this is 8, this is 2, 6. Golly, and that gets very interesting, you know, because then I've got to put, if that's 8, I've got to put 6 on this Renban. So it would have to go 8, 7. That's going to be a 2, 6, so that's going to have to be a 6. That's going to fix the 6 and the 9 at the bottom. But unfortunately, alas, I fear all of that is perfectly reasonable. Okay, alright, but that's still better than I thought for this square. This square's definitely under some pressure. Yes, alright, now where does 3 go in this column? That 3 locks those out. I can't put it there, so it's got to be there, and that's not a Schrödinger cell. And that, oh, this is going to do it. Oh, this is it. This being a 3 by Sudoku means that's a 1. And remember, we said those two squares added up to 10 more than that one. So that's got to be the 7. Now, has that given me a 9 here? Why have I got 9s pencil marked? Yeah, I've got to put a 9. I've got to put a 9 there. I don't trust my pencil marks at all. That's now becoming... I was about to confidently place a 9 in there, but that could be Schrödinger. Well, there is a 9 in that cell. I know that, but it might still be a Schrödinger cell, which is absolutely rotten. That square... that being a 3 means that square's a 5. I've only just seen that. We know there was a 3 on that rem band from earlier. So that rem band just goes 3, 4, 5 of all things. And that square is known to be a 1. It's a 1. I have not put a 1 in that box. Which might be useful. I am not sure. These two squares, I want to say they're a 0-2 pair, which I think is true. So that's a 0-2, that's a 5, 6 and 8, which I still don't know the order of. This column, I've got to remember there's 2 digits in this square. I've not put 7 into this column yet, have I? So where does that go? It's got to go there. So this square is 1, I don't believe it, it's 1, 2 or 6, but actually nothing is helping me know which of those it is. No, I really don't think I know. I thought this box would tell me something about the situation, but it appears to not want to. 7 is, 7 is in one of those 2 squares. In, this 7. Oh, that's it. Done it. Right. Well, I haven't done it, but I can knock 8 out of here now. If that was 8, I've now got no cells to put on that can be 7 on the rem band because of that 7. So that can't be 8. And if that's not 8, that square is either 1, 2 or 1, 6. So it's got a 1 in it. And if it's got a 1 in it, watch what this does. There's got to be a 1 in this square now. And that means that square is not a 1, which means that square is a 1. Around this 1 clue. So now 9 has moved over here. Oh, bobbins. Oh, bobbins. Can we do something with that? Please, let us be able to do something with that. Is it... There's definitely a 1 in here, so that's definitely not got 1 in it anymore. This is now 2 or 6. It's whatever's not used above it. Seven is actually very restricted in this box over here, because remember that is actually a 7. Well, I should take my own advice and not look. I should look at this box. Where does 7 go in that box? 7, 7, and 7 there means that's a 7. Which actually means that that's a 7 by Sudoku, and that's massive because that means that's not 7. And if that's not 7, that is 7. And if that's 7, that's not got a 2 in it anymore, so that's 1, 6 as its Schrödinger cell, which makes this square have to be a 2. It's a fascinating puzzle, isn't it? It's the sort of rule set that's absolutely bonkers, though. It plays with your brain like you wouldn't believe. Now, hang on, if that's 1 and 6, neither of those squares can now be 6. Yet this rem band, which has 4 and 6 on it, must have a 6 on it, which must be there. Now, is that safe to put as a normal digit? Or do I do I have to pay attention to the fact it could, I suppose, be a Schrödinger digit, even though it's on a purple line. But what it does do, there is a 6 in that cell, and that does fix that cell. Look, so that's 9, that's 6. There's a 6 in one of these two squares. I don't know what to do. Okay, so now there must be a 5 on this Renban. But that could be here. Oh no! I don't know. That's absolutely bonkers. That's absolutely bonkers. This could be a 5. Otherwise, I could have put a 5 in these two squares. Oh, no, hang on. By Sudoku, there is a 5 in these two squares. Oh, okay. Well, that's something. It's not actually it, though, is it? Oh, hang on. What's going on in this column? I've finished it, apart from I don't know what that square is. That's got to be a 2. So this is a 2 and a 5 at the same time, which means these squares are 1, 3, and 4, and that square's a naked single. It's not a 3 in the corner. There are no 3s in the corner today, I'm afraid, folks. I have just figured out. So this is 1 and 4. Oh, right. It's probably going to be this line now, isn't it? That's the next place we need to figure out. He says, and then I can't see how to do it. Do I? Oh, no, of course, that's a 1. Yes, that is a 1. It doesn't look like it, but it is. So that's a 1 and that's a 4, which means that's not a 4, look. Which seems to mean that that is a 4 by Sudoku. I see, this is tricky, isn't it? It's very likely there is a 1 in there. I don't know whether this is Schrödinger, so I don't know whether it's simultaneously 5 and 8. Oh, this is bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers. Do I know which way round the 0 and the 2 go? I probably do, somehow. What does that row need? That row needs 1, 2, 3, and... Oh, right. Here is something absolutely balmy. That digit is not a Schrödinger cell because it is a naked single. And that is really strange. It can't actually be 2 digits because in the row, or from the row's perspective, it's able to be 1, 2, 3, or 8. But from the box's perspective, it's not able to be 2. So it's now 1, 3, or 8, and it sees 1 and 3. So it is 8, and it cannot therefore be Schrödinger. That is so clever. I mean, that's so clever because that means this. Well, it means that's Schrödinger. We know one of its cells is 9, but we don't know what the other one is. So, right. So 8 in this box is now placed. Okay. Which means there's... Is that true that there's an 8-9 pair up there? I think it is because we've got the Schrödinger cell and we know the order actually now I focus on it. So 9, which is there, is now here, but I don't know whether this is Schrödinger. I'm going to be interested in the comments on this one, assuming I can solve it actually. Because I think it would be very easy to get lost in the weeds on this one and really find that your brain exploded. Okay, where does 3 go in this column? It's got to go here. Which I think means that that square has become a 1. Which seems to mean that square is not a 1. That square is not a 1. And this square is 6 and 9. Is that surprising to us? Not massively. That means that's not a 6. which seems to mean that this is a naked single 6 now, which is very welcome. Hello, naked single 6. Thank you for showing your face. Right, those 2 digits now. Oh, that's no, that's gorgeous. Right, that's gorgeous. Okay, this is a 2-5 pair by Sudoku with nothing naughty going on in it. But now look at the Renban. The Renban is not a sequence. Even with this being a 6, it's not got a 3 on it. So where does it get its 3? It's got to be there. That's got to be so that is Schrödinger and a simultaneous 3-6, which means this is green. That's a 3 and a 6. So that means surely this. Okay, so 2 goes here in this box. So that's 2, that's 2, that's 5, and that's now 5, which means that is not 5. This is 5, this is 3. So that seems to make that a 5. This column has not got 1 and 3 in it. Okay, that's great. This can't be Schrödinger now. It sees Schrödinger, so that is Schrödinger, and it's got a 9 in it again. I'm sure that some of these Schrödinger cells are going to be duplicated. Right, so what's going on in this column? We've not put 2 into it, so that becomes a 2. Ooh, yeah, hang on. Now that has become Schrödinger. That's not Schrödinger. Okay, which is probably the natural way around, but that's now got a 2 in it. Definitely. And either 1 or 3, and it can't be 3. So yes, the 3 in this row has to go here. That is a 1-2 pair, which must therefore add up to 3. This means that's not Schrödinger, look. So we can greenify that. That is Schrödinger, and it's filled with its contents, which must be a 5-8 pair, which means that square's a 6, because I remember that they were a 5-6, 8 triple in 2 squares. That's simultaneously 1 and 2, which bizarrely enough fixes the 0 and the 2 at the bottom, which means that 0 now is there. Which means that 0 now is there. So this Schrödinger cell is an 8-9 pair, I want to say. And that square is now a 5. Oh, yes, okay, well, oh, hang on. Yeah, with a 55 could have told me that, had I remembered it. And that square's an 8, I think. Have I done the puzzle? It feels so strange to think I might have finished the puzzle, even though I've got 9 cells left over. That felt logical. It felt logical. Let's click tick. It won't It does say I've solved it. I don't think it can know, though. I think it won't understand the missing cells. It's probably close to a solution. That was absolutely brilliant, though. Christounet, I absolutely loved that. That was very, very clever. And what I suppose I loved most about it was that it was a beautiful rendering of one of the most quintessential and brilliant movie scenes of all time. And it was done with real panache, which I'm quite sure the Back to the Future writers would approve of. I certainly did. That was lovely. That having to be a 3-6 to resolve the Renban here was absolutely beautiful. But there were several spots actually during the solve that were clever, and it was quite well paced. So it sort of, you could get started with it. This 0 was very helpful for that thermometer, or the hook, the Emmett's hook. So you could certainly start it, but then there was some quite tricky things. This equal sum line and how that worked was tricky for me. And keeping track, obviously, of all the Sudoku that we had to do with the Schrodinger cells. So that's a gorgeous one. Absolutely brilliant. Let me know in the comments how you got on. Let me know if you found it easy or not. Or if you found a good way of pencil marking it. That would also be interesting to know. And we found our 9 squells by the end of it. And that's a good thing. And I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.